I don't. Will they move? Okay. I never know where the flag.
I know.
Now I gotta figure out a way to advertise since everybody's here.
Are you selling it?
Yeah. Oh,
Your bike?
yeah.
Why, you getting something different?
It is, right on the front.
So what are you asking for?
18 and a half. It's got 5,300 miles.
Wow.
I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Big Bear Fire Authority Finance Ad Hoc Committee. Let's have a call to order, and can I ask that Bob would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we have roll call, please, Chardell?
Here. Here. Here.
Here. Okay, we will move on into public comment, and I have a card here from Dan Gilbranson.
Where's he at?
I don't know.
Good to see y'all. You guys missed an exciting meeting last night. So I just wanted to go over a couple things. I'm having our head fire marshal here check out a few maximum occupancy things over there at the city hall. And probably over at CSD too. Because I want things to go by what the law is. There seems to be some confusion on the first amendment. I have a right to wear any t-shirt I want. I have a right to say a lot of things. And if I hurt somebody's feelings, their feelings don't outweigh my rights to speak. Period. The Fourth Amendment is being retained and seized for unlawful things taken from people. And the Fifth Amendment, that you have the right to remain silent and don't have to say anything to anybody. So I'll be going over these constitutional rights as I go. Last night I got called out to get in a fight. And that's not acceptable because constitutional rights override some policy or some type of thing from any city or any type of thing that busybodies want to try to restrain your rights. So that's not going to happen. So I just came here to let you know that I have the right to film in here, any of you, public property, public building, and public employees. And so all's fair game. And that's how it's going to be. So just to give you a heads up on that people have the right to film private property from the street, but that's different than public property. From the street for private property, it goes to, you have to stay on the sidewalk. So, I will have some other clarification on that over the next few months. Because I don't want to be called out to get in a fight. I don't want to do it. I respect our sheriff. He talked to me last night, and I absolutely agree, because I gave him a heads up on that I'm going to be doing constitutional right things. But even employees can't just say, oh, I don't know something. If you're a public employee, it's too bad. If there's something behind the glass that's private information, then it shouldn't be behind the glass that can be seen from the public. Period. So there's where the rules are.
Thank you, Dan.
I appreciate that.
Yep, thank you, Dan.
Is my time up?
Your time is
No,
up.
it's going back the other way.
Okay, so no other public comment? All right, so let's move on to the preliminary draft budget discussion.
We've got our draft budget from May and June, available for discussion from the committee members to make any requests that you'd like, changes to the budget that we can take back and work on, and hopefully have presented for August.
May I start? Is there anything easy that you can cut,
Is there anything easy
that
that
you've
you've
already identified?
There are a number of areas that we
Or
can
easier than harder?
look at cutting. Well, I guess define easy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, I totally understand. I'm just trying to get the conversation going.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are areas that we can look to cut. I don't know that anything is necessarily easy. You know, I've got everybody that manages programs right now looking at areas that we can reduce costs. And the plan will be to schedule a meeting with all of those members, along with labor, to get together to look at all those areas that we can reduce those costs with hopefully impacting the operation.
So nothing wasteful that jumps up?
Wasteful,
Yeah.
nothing that's right on the tip of my
I didn't think so, but I wanted to ask the question.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna make sure that there's no waste.
Okay.
I think I need my glasses.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Well, I would reiterate what I said Tuesday night, that the two numbers for CSD, one of them is going to have to be trimmed back a little because of legal.
Legal expenses.
I don't know if it's ever been discussed here about what people see on their tax bill for the CSD in terms of water, sewer, and trash. Those are not taxes, those are fees. So we cannot take the money from those sources to spend on anything like fire. But we do have the two fire taxes, one identified specifically as fire and the other is just by nature of the county.
Since you brought up the question, can you change your percentage? Can you increase your percentage from the property tax at
Which percentage are you talking about?
7.5%?
That's established by the county.
Yeah, that's
It's not us.
the county.
So, let me ask the question.
We
Can
can't
it
get
change?
more than 7.5. Not to my knowledge. We cannot do a 15% like the city gets, but that's because
Well, we don't get it. We cut it out of our main budget. It's not separate. It's part of our 1%.
correct. But the reason we get 7.5 versus 15 for the city is because the county is still providing roads, snowplows, etc. So they unload any obligation to the city and give them the 15%, whereas for us, they take half back.
Okay. We still use our 1% for our roads as well.
Right, but
So
you're doing it out of your
we
money.
don't- the question, yeah, I don't want to debate back and forth that part of it, but the question was, is it possible? Have you asked that question? Can that change?
I have never asked that question, but it's never been implied that we have any say in the matter.
I've been looking into that,
Yeah.
Director Herrick, and under Proposition 26, funds that are reserved by the county cannot be taken in excess of the service that they provide for the area. If it is specific to fire, then they should be providing fire services. So I'm still looking into that as well. There's potential for that becoming something that we may be able to go into negotiations with the county on those revenue sources.
Okay, well, the door's cracked open a little bit with that
Correct.
possibility.
Yes.
Correct, okay, well, that's good to hear. Because that would change the formula quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because there's no fire services provided by the county out in the unincorporated area for us.
Right. Okay, well, good. Well, that's good to hear. At least there's a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Without making too much of a stalemate on this, I think the question that remains for us when we look at budget in terms of revenue sources, because I mean, we need to know what's coming in order to determine what we're going to do with that money. Those create the biggest questions for us at this point. So if we can have any kind of conversation as to what there's potential for our future revenues in this upcoming budget, that allows us to kind of identify the areas that we need to prioritize and areas that we might be having to make reductions or cuts.
Got it. I don't have any suggestions for reductions, but I was the only one who voted for moving forward with the existing budget. So I don't have any ideas of where to cut.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not looking for suggestions necessarily. It's just in terms of what revenues that we are going to receive in this next year. I mean, it's a challenge for us. You know, how do we create a budget when we don't know exactly what revenues will be?
Sure. Sure. Well, I can't really commit for our portion of it, but we had suggested previously, as long as it's accounted for properly, not to cut back on the amount that would come in to the district and to forward that on, again, as long as the discrepancy is accounted for. But I think we're in the process of also looking at service levels and trying to, help come up with a balance that makes sense.
Yep.
And it might take a while to get that particular number. So, I mean, we're
Yeah.
kind of on the same page. I think.
Along those lines, myself and Dwayne had spoke with Stuart Gary with City Group yesterday, and so we're already working to get all that
Right.
information in they need to help speed the process along from our side.
Okay, good. It might take a little bit longer than the budget process, just to let you know.
Yeah, understood. Understood.
So there might have to be
The
adjustments
anticipation was 5.
after the fact.
Yeah, which I mean, I think is fine. And from legal counsel, we understand that budgets can be amended throughout the year
Yeah.
as needed by the board. So we understand that. And
Okay. Our other board members from the city might have different thoughts.
Sure.
Once we bring this back.
yeah, obviously.
But that was I think that's what I heard from our side, I believe.
I mean, we.
Not to upset the apple cart at this moment. I mean, there's so many things that are happening
Right.
that.
There were some discussions, though, about that there's a feeling that we shouldn't be committing extra money toward the fund balance. That if there's an overpayment to where the fire department is able to put extra money in the fund balance, it was just something that was discussed, like, well, why would we do that? So, but nothing is, we're still having discussions, so nothing is set in stone. I think really we're waiting for that report
Yeah.
to come back.
Yeah, we might be able to refine that once we have another fire district meeting,
Okay.
and then get an idea of what to do with that. But I heard the same thing, I just don't think we made a decision.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
No, it was just a discussion.
Suggestion, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, understandably so, and that was my commitment coming into this position. I think as far back as February was to look at multiple areas to help us reduce costs, decrease spending, and at that point, help push towards building the reserves to meet the policy. But seems like the strategy at this point is just look for those areas to continue to enhance savings for the agency, and standing by, I guess, at this point. Correct? Is that what everybody's saying?
In the meeting, it was proposed that people that had suggestions for tweaking or modifying the budget Did you get anything?
I did not.
The only input that I got was not directly related to this particular budget, but it again had to do with fairness. It came from Perry. She had some ideas about fairness, but it's nothing new that we haven't talked about in that. And I think that she relayed all that information to you.
She did. She asked a bunch of questions. I think I answered them. I reread her email. I didn't see any direct suggestions on change, so I've left it alone based on that. I didn't get any direct asks for change.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, I have her email here. I didn't see direct asks. And I know we're still trying to understand the CSD street lighting thing.
I'd be glad to elaborate on that a little bit if I could.
Yeah.
So we don't pay for that. The CSD sends us their property taxes, and from it they have to deduct their street lighting expenses. And so just as an accounting function, because I want my property tax number to match the county's number for auditing purposes, I report all of the revenue minus their deduction. It's not our expense. They deduct it before I get the
Oh,
money.
so you're not having to like
No,
write
not
a
at
check
all.
back?
No, it's just an accounting function to show so that my property taxes match the county. That's the only reason for it. We're not actually paying for that at all. That's on their side. It's just an accounting function of the way it shows on the books.
Okay, that's good to know.
So then just a question for CSD members. How does that lighting equate to fire safety? I mean, why pull it out of that 7.5 of property taxes?
It's my understanding that that's a requirement.
It just seems like it was traditionally done.
Yeah.
I think I've asked that question
I think
a
that's
dozen
more-
times,
that's more of a
and
CSD
I kind of get,
question.
well, that's how we've always done it.
Yeah, I don't understand that part of it, but I know that that's something that's required.
And it's
in
not a
this
ton of money,
regulated.
but it's something.
It is. I'm sure Director Walsh has better.
When the money comes from the
information.
county for the other than specific 1999 fire tax, the county does not differentiate parks, street lighting, whatever. So that has been, yes, since about 1936, been part of that bill. We, in the CSD, dealt with the consolidation. We sent the whole thing, not Kristen, but to Shirley. And Shirley didn't want to deal with it and sent it right back to us. So somebody has to pay for it. It's been paid for 70 or 80 years as out of those taxes. That's why it's still being paid. I don't know.
Can you dig into that a little bit further? Like I said, it's not a lot of money, but every penny makes a difference. Because do you even have
Do you want
streetlights? I mean, I hate to say, I'm sure you have streetlights somewhere.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So is it you're interested in what, eliminating it?
Well, eliminate it from the fire portion of the budget, so that it's just as a CSD expense, not a fire expense. It's just a question. I'm not saying.
Right. But if
We're
we-
looking for pennies right now, so that's some of the pennies.
So if we were to make it a CSD line
Expense.
item,
Yeah.
it would have to come out of those taxes that we send over and further reduce the money from the county. Because we can't take it from water, we can't take it from sewer, and we can't take it from trash.
Isn't there could be a nexus between, I mean, this is how we've done it before. So there could be a nexus between lighting and believe it or not, even I'll say sewer or possibly a water, depending where the lights are and how they're used and so forth. There has to be a connection. I understand it can't be totally disconnected.
CSD does not maintain the lights, we do not install them. That's a standing contract with the power company. If one goes out, they replace it. It's nothing that we're involved in other than writing the check to pay for the electricity bill. So we cannot relate it to anything.
And how much is the percentage on that, do we know?
You gotta figure somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 a month. More in the winter, less in the summer.
Maybe that's another question for the county regarding that. Well, I'll just jump in again. I mean, I'm willing to move forward with the budget as it is, unless we find someplace that we can cut, and I'm willing to say that we should actually not cut the funds that are coming from the city, except for taking our expenses out, and those I don't know exactly what it is, but it would be reducing it by, I don't know, $50,000-$60,000 approximately. So we'd have to get that number to you, but I'm only speaking for me.
That's mighty white of you.
So what? Well, that's how the game works here.
Well, let me see, the city uses 70% of the visitors. Okay, yeah.
But we can debate it, but we'll get the figures once we get the studies done.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we will.
Well, anyways, if we're gonna go down this route, there's no point in even having this meeting, to be quite honest with you. So if we're gonna pick fights, then
No, it's just-
we're not gonna move
it's-
forward.
it's
And I
fact.
have asked all of us to keep cool heads and try to move forward. If we can't do that, then what's the point? Truly. I mean, if I'm willing to move forward with the budget as is, nobody else is. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not willing to come up with suggestions, you're not willing to vote for it, we're at an impasse. And, it doesn't help to pick fights in these meetings. So I'm doing the best I can, try to move us forward. If we can't, we can't. So, I don't know what to say.
Understood. Our commitment.
I don't want to waste
is-
everybody's time.
Sure. Our
With
commitment
these
is we will-
meetings, if we can't even get through a finance committee.
Sure. We will look at every avenue, Director Herrick, to help reduce our costs and improve those savings for you. That is the commitment that we have. Beyond saying exactly where those are going to come from, I can't give you that answer exactly right now. I'm still fairly new into this.
Well,
and
just to
so
listen, I don't need those answers. I'm
No.
confident with the budget as it sits right now.
Right.
I'm
right.
confident with moving forward, and I'm confident with the compromises, and I'm confident that we will sort out basically service levels.
Yeah, but in good faith to the rest of the board, we are here to discuss things over we will come back with some meaningful change.
In preparing the budget, you allow for professional services, which would include BB&K. Did you have a clue that there would need to be anything budgeted for an attorney other than BB&K?
I did increase the legal fees in the budget next year for a variety of reasons, and I'm hoping that the adjustment that I made will encompass,
Cover that.
yes.
Tuesday night, the filming crew, is the city picking that up?
I don't know.
I'm sure of it, yes.
I don't know, I didn't know they were coming.
Okay. Did you budget for fire protection district meetings at Beaufort Hall?
I made an adjustment to the budget based on the potential, I kind of went midway with that, if you will.
Okay. Did the fire authority enter into an agreement with the city to do that? Do we have any kind of lease agreement or contract or
No.
anything?
Would they have needed to enter into a lease agreement?
It's basically staying in the fire district. Fire district expenses staying in the fire district. That's all. Well, I can say it's similar to paying for electricity for streetlights. that has nothing to do with fire, but anyways, we've already talked about that.
Okay, well, as opposed to sitting in silence, I think at this point, what we will do from the staff side is to get together, we will have that meeting, we will look at those strategies and those areas to reduce costs, and we can report that back to the committee, just for everybody to see. And then when we come back in August, we can present that. I mean, I don't think it's any secret where we're at as far as budget's concerned and the standard of coverage evaluation and what the future looks like, but that is what we can have prepared for August if that makes this.
And that'll be for the full board?
Production.
Okay. And then just see where it goes from there. So what happens if we don't pass a budget and we reach into November?
I believe Chardell has those answers from legal on that.
Is she on the line now?
I believe so.
Let's see if
Chardell, are you there?
Thank you. It kind of does, so it could go on indefinitely is what it sounds like.
Under what it is now.
Yes. Okay. So the roll doesn't end. If for whatever reason we can't get, how many votes do we need to pass the budget?
It's 7.
We need 7, okay. All right, the roll doesn't end. We continue on. It's, just sad we can't do it, but anyways, it'll be what it is.
Okay. Once we have some better ideas on those measures, we will email those out to all of you just to make sure that you can see what we're looking at.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, by the way, for the information regarding the property taxes. I appreciate it. Answer my questions. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
And I'll continue to look into that Prop 26 question as well.
Great.
I think there's at least positive potential in that.
Okay. You want to take any public comment before we?
Sure. Anybody?
Is there public comment, you just said?
Yeah.
Here's your chance.
Is this the last stab at the apple? I think a lot of the basis of the problem is that there was a tax on the Snow Summit, the multi-billion-dollar company. And somehow I'm looking into that, how the, what proposition that was, where the money goes to visit Big Bear. And it seems like part of the power of Big Bear Lake, whoever was behind that deal, and I don't know anything about it, but why does all that money go to like a corporation that rents Summit bikes there? They have other rental things there, and if their building was too big, that tax money should have gone here to the fire department, not to visit Big Bear. We live within 5 hours of, what, 50, 60 million people, and all the people are coming up from Mexico? This is a destination spot. A dead squirrel could run the visitation thing and have almost the same amount, especially after their fishing tournament they did, which was a disaster, which I'm still going to be talking to Travis about. So I mean, if they're gonna get that much money and then allow Summit to rent bikes from there, have other people renting inside of the building, and who knows what other monies they're getting. And nothing personal, but sometimes it just seems more of a money laundering place to me than some efficiency place. So I'm looking into that too. But why? And I'm sure Big Bear Lake had a lot of directions on this tax for a multi-billion-dollar company, and we're fighting over ambulances, we're fighting over other things that our east side doesn't have. So to me it seems crazy, and that's the base of it, but yet our town is buying millions of dollars of entanglement and are looking for every penny and want to get lawyers to sue each other. Oh, we're not suing, it's just everybody's just got to get lawyers. I mean, what kind of crap is this? A month ago, we had problems trying to figure out where to have meetings. It was nothing but big discussions. Everybody was arguing about small crap. And this is much bigger stuff. So I'm going to be looking into that, trying to figure out about the tax thing from a multi-billion-dollar company that uses, as far as I can see, uses and abuses the hospital, the fire department. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. But I just kind of looking from the outside as a businessman who did things that were unbelievable.
Thank you, Dan.
I got 6 seconds left.
Just so maybe the audience knows, I mean, and I've tried to explain it to you a little bit, Dan, that the Visit Big Bear money, it's not something that the city imposed on people. The people that belong to that tax district, the businesses, the ski resort, restaurants, they voted to tax themselves to then promote Big Bear Lake. So it's not something that the city.
Well, that's fine and dandy, but I don't believe it. There's usually more to it than that. But that's fine, I'll look into it. I didn't say I was right.
Who gets the revenue?
They do,
Visit Big Bear.
yeah, they tax
It's
themselves.
it's like TOT. You know, the money TOT goes to the city, the T-bid is collected, and the money goes to Visit Big Bear.
So we need to change it so it goes to the fire department.
It can't be
do
done
that.
because the people that voted to put that tax in,
Right.
they're participating
So
because they
it's
want to
another-
advertise
it's
Big Bear
another
Lake.
vote to
It's,
redo it.
that's not the way T-bid districts work.
Well, then I'll figure out how they work. There's always answers to things. I just think it's a multi-billion-dollar company, it somehow doesn't have to do their fair share. That's where I see it. So that's fine. I'll look
Yeah, I mean,
into it.
I don't disagree with you, but, you know, they do pay taxes also, and would I love it if they would say they're gonna sponsor a ambulance or something? That would be awesome,
Yeah, they should.
but
So let's have to
you
get
know, you can't force them to do it.
No, but you can get something on the ballot like the hospital did, you know, multiple times because they kept screwing it up.
Brian, you're up.
Sweet, thank you. Good morning, board. Morning, Chief. I'll keep it quick, I'm not a good speaker, but obviously I've worked with you as a labor rep, worked with you before, you guys are new to me, so I don't know too much about you guys, but I appreciate your guys' effort on the board. Having been here since 2002, I've seen a lot of ups and downs with the organization. Came from the CSD, Big Bear Lake had its ups and downs, no different than we did. And since the consolidation in 2012, I feel like us, the labor group, have prospered with a lot of ups and downs as well. And it seems like as an outsider looking in, that you guys are fighting as board members a little bit, preventing us from moving forward as an organization. That's kind of upsetting, kind of sad. So my hope is that you guys can come together and figure it out. There's a lot of guys here, I'm here for maybe 3 to 5 more years and I'm out. There's a lot of young guys here that are gonna be here for a long time. Sorry if I get a little emotional, but it's disheartening to see that you guys can't come together because a lot of you guys, I've seen a ton of board members come here just since 2012. I'm pretty sure some of these faces over here that I'm looking at are gonna be here way longer than you guys are gonna be here. So however you guys can figure it out, these guys want to be solid for a career moving forward. I'll be gone here soon. So it's not, I'm speaking on their behalf, because I'm tired, I would like to see them steadily move up with an organization that's not constantly highs and lows. So I hope you guys can get it together, and thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask something?
Can you ask something? Of course.
Patrice, 2 months ago for Sugarloaf Property Owners Association, had 2 guest speakers. One was the Chief Operating Officer of the hospital district, and the other was, I don't know what his title would be, for the Big Bear.
He's the general manager for the Big Bear Travis.
They gave extensive stats and a presentation, which probably would be very helpful to the fire authority to understand where this money comes from, what it's supposed to be used for, and who,
The T-bid money?
any of it. Because there are,
Yeah, T-bid. Travis really outlined the T-bid specifically, and then Evan talked about the hospital measure tax, how that's used.
so it might be worth putting on our agenda to have those numbers brought out.
Yes.
So that there's no misunderstanding on whose tax it is versus who's self-levying and what it was for, and whether it's being spent appropriately or not, whether it's a multi-million-dollar company or not. That it's self-imposed, and so it has a home.
To clarification, I apologize, writing notes while you were talking, but you want me to look into the T-bid, the Visit Big Bear T-bid? Is that
No.
what it was?
No, I think just so people understand that it's truly not, the city is not benefiting from the T-bid at all, and that it's the people that are participating voted to tax themselves.
Patrice can explain who the 2 people were and what it took to get them to show up.
And it might be another good forum, just so people know, because this comes up a lot, that people ask why TOT and T-bid aren't given to the fire department. So it might be just a good another venue, and it's videoed now to let people understand what T-bid is really about.
Yeah.
They
Because-
weren't long, tedious presentations. They were Reader's Digest version of what they do.
Understood.
I mean, I know for me, working at the ski resort, the year that Mammoth came in, Mammoth was actually the big one that pushed for the T-bid, because they have the T-bid, they have district up in Mammoth also. And it was very difficult to explain to a customer why they're paying this money to advertise a business that's already, advertise a town that's already busy. So it was very hard to fill in those blanks as an employee. Like, why am I paying this tax? What is it? So, go ahead if you.
So I'm a little confused, because at the May general meeting for the fire authority, you all voted unanimously to let this budget fly, with the intention of looking into some of these areas. And then at the June meeting, because Harry brought up some questions, all of a sudden the budget had to be exploded. I appreciate, Rick, your wanting to move forward, and I think that Luke and Kristen have shown that they want to figure things out. They're both, Luke's brand new, Kristen has now been given a different openness in the position since Jeff has left. I think we really should approve the budget as is, let these people get on with their lives, stop the disruption on the floor, stop the disruption in the board, because it really is disruptive. You guys aren't seeing what's happening at this level with these guys here. They're here because they're concerned. Let's let these 2 people do their job the way you've asked them to do their job, simultaneously while moving forward. I also would ask my directors, CSD, who represent me, even though you all represent me, just want to remind you that, because this is the fire authority, to really help Luke find out ways to get more money on the CSD side. I know you say that we're only given 7.5% from the county, that's all we have, that's all we can give. We're on the fire tax, that's all we can give. Let's try to find out, is there any room in that to help out? Maybe we've never asked that question before, so maybe there is more money. Maybe we can get more money from county. Maybe it can be 15% because we're a fire authority. I understand why you guys are getting the 15% because you technically you're a city in yourself and county is not giving you any services, but maybe there is room, so I would hope my CSD directors would assist Luke in doing that. And then also look at the fire tax that we pay annually, the $158. Is there room, I know right now it says a CPI average of 10 years is all you can increase. Maybe there's a clause where it can be increased more, or maybe we consider going back to the community for a vote on that particular tax. But to just sit here and say, that's all we have to give, we can't give any more, I think that's very apathetic. And I just would encourage you guys to take a position of cooperation and collaboration. I think you all want this to work, so please kind of keep the comments, the fighting, the references to the lawsuits. It is what it is. Let's try to move forward and give these men and women the funding they need to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice. Okay, so anybody else? I guess we will adjourn this meeting at 10:40.